In this English lesson, I wanted to talk about English phrases we use about doing something early, doing something before everyone else does it. And I thought if I'm going to teach a phrase like that, I should teach the opposite as well. The first phrase I want to teach you today is the phrase to beat the rush. In English, when you say you want to beat the rush, it means you want to be somewhere or do something before everyone else who wants to do that or wants to go there actually does it. A good example would be this. Let's say there's something on sale at a certain store. If I want to beat the rush, I will go right when the store opens so that I hopefully have a chance to buy that thing before they run out. I want to beat the rush. And the opposite would be this. If I went later in the day, I might miss the boat. When you miss the boat, it means you don't have an opportunity to buy the thing or whatever you were going to do because everyone else got there before you. So to beat the rush means to get there before everyone else or to do something before everyone else. And to miss the boat means that everyone else has already been there or done that. So that's unfortunate. Hey, before we go to the next two phrases though, I do want to thank Preply, the sponsor of this video. If you need an English tutor, you can use the link in the description below today to get 50% off your first lesson, and I guarantee you they will help you take your English learning to the next level. The next two phrases that I want to teach you are the phrases to be ahead of the game and to drag your feet. When you are ahead of the game, it means you start on something right away and you make good progress. When you drag your feet, it means you don't start right away. And when you do start, you don't work very hard at all. Imagine you're working on a project at work. Your boss assigns you and a colleague to work on something. If you want to be ahead of the game, you will get started that day. Right after your boss asks you to do the project, you might go and sit down and get started because you want to be ahead of the game. Maybe your boss will ask you about it tomorrow and you want to be able to show progress. Your colleague, though, might drag their feet. They might not get started right away. They might come in the next day and have done nothing on the project. So you can either be ahead of the game, which is awesome, or you can drag your feet, which isn't very nice. The next two phrases that I want to teach you are the phrases to be a step ahead or to be 2 steps behind. When you are a step ahead, it means you've done more than what was expected. When you are 2 steps behind, it means you've done far less. Let's say you are a student and the teacher says, for tomorrow, please read chapter 3. If you want to be a step ahead, you might read chapter 3 and chapter 4. You would then be a step ahead. But maybe you haven't even read chapter 1 or 2, and then you don't read chapter 3 either. You would then be 2 steps behind. That is not a good position to be in. So my advice to you, you should always try to be a step ahead. It's just a great advantage in the workplace and in school. And try as much as possible to never be 2 steps behind. The next two phrases that I wanted to teach you are the early bird gets the worm and too little, too late. So you could probably imagine what the early bird gets the worm means. A bird that gets up early, that wakes up early, will find the worms that are on the ground before the other birds. In life, the early bird gets the worm means someone who is always on time or early for work might get the promotion. A student who is always diligent and does their work and is on time for class might get a reward from the teacher. So if you are early, if you are prompt, if you are on time, there are advantages to that. When you say too little, too late, though, it means someone is trying really hard, but they haven't really tried hard in the past. So you might have a student or an employee who shows up for work or school late all the time. And then all of a sudden, for 2 days, they start showing up on time. Well, that is too little, too late. It's not the same as the person who has always been on time. So the early bird gets the worm simply means someone who is prompt, someone who is on time, someone who is diligent is most likely going to get rewarded for it. And when you say too little, too late, it simply means someone is trying to be like the early bird gets the worm person, but they haven't actually been that way for most of the time, and they've just started doing it lately. So I do want to take a minute to thank Preply, the sponsor of this video. If you're looking for an English tutor to help you improve your English, Preply is a great place to find one. And if you use the link in the description below today, you'll get 50% off your first lesson. Right now, it's December. It's a time to sit back and reflect on the English learning that you've done in the past year and maybe make a plan for improving that English learning in the future. In a few weeks, though, everyone is going to make New Year's resolutions to do the same. So if you want to beat the rush, if you want to be a step ahead, if you want to be ahead of the game, maybe now is the time to visit Preply to find a tutor. Preply has over 35,000 English tutors that can teach you English in all different types of ways. Maybe you need to improve your English for a test you're taking in the future. Maybe you need to improve your English for travel or because you use English for business. Whatever the reason, Preply is a great place to find someone that can help you improve your English in the way you need to improve it. So once again, visit Preply today. There's a link in the description below. Use that link and get 50% off your first lesson. And I do just want to thank Preply once again for sponsoring this video and all of the other videos in 2025. It has been a great relationship. They are an awesome company. So thanks again. The next two phrases I want to teach you are to beat the crowd, which is very similar to beat the rush, and to be late to the party. Let's use an amusement park as an example. If you want to beat the crowd, it's good to go to an amusement park right when it opens. The lines for every single ride will be really, really short, and it's just a great time to go if you want to beat the crowd. But if you go at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, you will be late to the party. There will be long lines for every single ride. It will be very, very annoying because you'll have to stand in line with all kinds of other people, usually in the hot sun, because you usually go to amusement parks in the summer, not in the winter. So if you want to enjoy something like an amusement park, go early to beat the crowd, because if you go late, you will certainly be late to the party, and that's not any fun at all. The next two phrases that I wanted to teach you are the phrases first come, first served, and you snooze, you lose. The second one's kind of a funny one. Right now at school, because it's December, parents sometimes drop off a tray of snacks for the teachers to eat in the staff room. But here's how it works. There are 30 people who work at my school, and sometimes the tray will only have 12 cookies on it. In that case, it is first come, first served. Basically, the first people who come to the plate of cookies get a cookie, and some people don't. And that brings me to the second phrase. If you don't come right away, if you don't get a cookie right away, if you snooze, you lose. And I really like this phrase because it basically means if you don't do something immediately, you will pay the price. If you snooze, you lose. So whenever there is a situation where there isn't enough of something for everyone, first come, first served simply means the first people get one. And you snooze, you lose simply means you took too long. So now you don't get a cookie, you don't get a snack. So the next two phrases are the phrases to get a head start or to play catch up. Whenever you have to do something, if you start right away, you are getting a head start. You are starting before you actually need to start, but it's probably a good idea. And then if you don't get a head start, you have to play catch up. Probably the best example I can give you would be these two. I have two examples. One is raking leaves in the fall. It's good to get a head start. When the leaves start to fall on the ground, it's best to get a head start and start cleaning them up right away. And the second would be when snow starts to fill your driveway. It's best to start shoveling right away. It's best to get a head start because more snow is going to come. And then if you don't, you have to play catch up. If the leaves start to pile up in the fall, eventually the job gets harder and you have to play catch up. You have to work twice as hard to do the same job. And the same thing for the snow in the driveway. As the snow fills the driveway, it gets heavier and it packs down and it gets more difficult to shovel. And so you're playing catch up. You're doing double the work for what you would have had to do. So it's better always, in my opinion, to get a head start than to play catch up. So you might be wondering, what are two boring normal phrases you would use in these situations? Well, you would simply use the phrase to get started right away or the phrase to procrastinate. So when you get started right away, it simply means there's a job or task and you just start on it. You start on it right away. You start on it immediately. But sometimes, if you're like me, you tend to procrastinate. You tend to put things off. You tend to wait until the last minute to do the job. I did this a lot more as a student than I do now as a teacher, but sometimes I still tend to procrastinate. So two boring, normal phrases, probably the ones we use the most would be to start something right away and to procrastinate. The next two phrases are the phrases to have an edge or to be at a disadvantage. If you were going to apply for a job and you knew that someone else was applying for the same job, if you researched what that company does, if you knew a lot about the company before you went for the job interview, you would have an edge. You would have an advantage over the other person. The other person then would be at a disadvantage. You would know more than them, they would know far less, and you would probably have a better chance of getting the job. So when you have the edge, it simply means you're better prepared for something. You're more aware of what you need to know in order to do that job or apply for that job or whatever it is you are doing. And when you're at a disadvantage, you know less or you have less experience and you're less likely to be successful. So when you have an edge, when you have the edge, it means you are better prepared for something. When you're at a disadvantage, it means you are less prepared. Well, thank you so much for watching this English lesson. I hope you were able to learn a few more words and phrases that you can use in your next English conversation. Before I go, I do want to once again thank Preply, the sponsor of this video. And I just want to tell you this. I don't do a lot of sponsorships on my channel, and one of the reasons I work with Preply is because I like them, I trust them, and I've used them before. And those things are very, very important to me. I don't want to recommend a company or service to you unless I've actually used them before and I like them and trust them. So once again, if you want to find an English tutor, use the link in the description below to visit Preply. You'll get 50% off your first lesson. Well, hey, thanks again for watching. If this is your first time here, don't forget to click that red subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up, leave a comment below, and I'll see you maybe next week, maybe the week after with another English lesson. After all, it is getting close to Christmas and I do want to take a week off. So we'll see. Maybe there will be one, maybe not, but there will for sure be one the week after. Bye.